Hello and welcome to Wild on 6TV, the Oxford Channel. I'm Sasha Norris. Now, once upon a time, wolves and bear and lynx and probably mountain lions roamed our countryside. They preyed on deer. Unfortunately, nowadays we have to rely on the shotgun to control deer because most conservationists agree otherwise they would destroy the natural vegetation on which they depend. Well, today I'm joining gamekeeper Kevin Rolls to use his skills in culling deer to help us get an insight into their natural history. You've been, how long have you been a gamekeeper here?
I started in 1977.
So you look after pheasants here in this woodland in Berkshire, but we're going to talk today about the deer.
Yeah.
Which is kind of an is that an interesting part of your work to enjoy?
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the roe deer are one of the most beautiful deer that we've got in the British Isles. I mean, they're so interesting in the way they operate in the woodland. And I've got a great passion for them, actually.
Have you?
Yeah.
What is it about them?
It's just the way they are, the way they behave in the woodland is totally different than the others.
So talk me through the year of the roe deer. What happens? How do they go about life?
Well, I'll start now. This time of year now we're
January. February.
February. We're into February. I mean, they're still in their family groups, which during the winter months they all come together again, and in about 3 weeks' time the bucks will drift off on their own, and the does will stay with the youngsters that they've had, and then the bucks will start setting up their territories in the next month or two, and then sort of moving each other out, and the master bucks will take over and pushing the little ones to their little corners.
When you say master bucks, they have to be a certain age to be a master.
Yeah, they're usually around about 5, 6, 7 years of age. It all depends. There's the different counties throw up different minerals, so the heads grow bigger in different counties and thicker. It's availability of the minerals, and if you get a real big one, it's very good. I mean, Berkshire, Hampshire, Wiltshire, Dorset, and Sussex are probably some of the best areas to get real massive heads.
So we're in this whole year, February.
Yeah.
They're setting up their territories.
They're just about to
set
yeah,
blokes.
Yeah. They're just about to set their territories up.
Right.
The does will go off with their youngsters that they've had the previous year, and then as you get to May, they'll be looking to have their youngsters, whether they have one or two.
Now, when's the rut?
The rut comes in depending on the weather.
Yeah.
But the last week in July, first or second week in August, and they leave their youngsters in the wood.
Yeah.
During the rut.
Yeah.
So the youngsters left on their own, and they go off and run around with the buck, and do their thing.
So they'll say, right, I'm going to just leave you, Lily, and lie you in the bushes, and I'm going to go off and find a consort now. Go off and find a bloke. Is that what they do?
That's what they do.
And then they'll mate.
Yeah, and then they mate.
With him.
And
then they'll come back to their young one, and
they come back to their young one.
Do we have any idea whether they liked a particular mate, so they'll mate with the same bloke?
They don't give in very easily. They let the buck chase them about, and they spend a lot of time chasing each other. And she won't mate until she's ready.
Trying to work out whether he's fit and whether he's worth having.
Well, the master eventually the big buck in that area, get his way. So they carry on mating until all the does, and the rut usually finishes in about first, second week in August, and then it just goes dead quiet, and all the bucks disappear because they're so exhausted, just laid up.
Knackered, I think, is the expression.
and knackered.
But that's probably post watershed.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So they're emails, and then where are we now? About sort of September coming in.
We're coming into September and October time. The doe's gone back. Her youngsters have joined her, and then going in towards the tail end of October to start of November, her previous youngsters are joining her again, and towards the end of November, then all the older bucks from that family, they're all join each other, and you'll see them running around in 6 or 7, 8, 9, sometimes 14 or 20, and they're all in little family groups, and they'll stay with their family groups right the way through the winter.
So that's what we're seeing at the moment.
That's what we're seeing at the moment.
So when we go out and we look with a torch at a lamp at night, we're seeing them sort of browsing in. Sort of really, it's kind of one of the quietest times of the year for them in a sense, isn't it?
Yeah. It's they settle down. They come out of the wood at night time and lay in a field and browse and just sort of. You see them sort of playing with each other, running around like they were.
Now look, Kevin, you're looking left to right. There's no particular place where you would expect the deer to be then?
I would have expected to see some here on this side, but they might have had some disturbance from, the car down there and the people walking about. They're looking at that summer sunset.
Oh, they're looking at the side.
Yeah, so
okay.
they could have moved them up over the top of the bank here. So.
And how many acres of woodland have you got here? You're looking at?
Well, this big wood is about 400 acres.
Right. You don't realise the effect that just walking around can have on moving the wildlife around.
That's right.
Now, Kevin, did you know that you're a wolf?
I'm a wolf.
Yeah. You're taking the place of the wolf.
Oh yes, for controlling, managing the deer.
Yeah.
So when we're top of the predator, well, we're the only predator
around now, really, at that level.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. When I walk my dogs, it's no good, is it? Because the dogs will just send them off.
They don't like too much disturbance. So they're quite.
If you're on foot, would you see them or not?
You can do.
You do sometimes see them, don't you?
If you're quiet and the wind is in the right direction, you can actually stalk them. You can stalk them on foot, you see, when you're shooting them.
Yeah.
Then you can creep up to them quietly with the wind in the right direction. I mean, things are starting to sprout now. So you look at the brambles, see all the tops.
Yeah.
You look at the tops of these brambles.
Yeah.
You see where they've gnawed the tops off.
So do they actually help to keep the brambles down then?
Yeah, they keep the brambles under control, especially little blocks like this. They just nip the tops and they help regenerate the brambles again for young shoots to feed.
Gosh, that's interesting. I didn't know anything really how to go at brambles.
Yeah, you can see like if someone's come along with secateurs.
You just chop them off.
But they usually eat them in the winter when there's not much other food about in the woods.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we control them, isn't it? Why we cull them. Because they eat trees, and because they would just eat, as we say, they would have one time had natural predators keeping them down, but now their numbers could just expand, and as has happened in lots of places, they sort of just cause the vegetation to start being destroyed.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, most of them, they're giving birth to twins now, so they're in one set of twins a year.
As opposed to
one.
Why has that happened?
They're getting fairly widespread, and with the forestry and new plantings going on, obviously with the woodland grants and that, people are putting in more woods and hedges and small shrubs.
So is it an indication that the deer think that things are on the up?
I think the deer are moving out, and a lot of the deer are getting pushed out of areas where the building's going on.
Yeah.
Where there's lots of houses going up, and they're getting pushed further and further into other areas.
Green areas. And they're not. It's not that the deer are actually thinking, "Oh, it's quite good going. I'm enjoying myself. I'm going to have a couple of young instead of just one."
No, I think it's down to them. They can actually control how many they have.
Yeah.
And they can control the sex to a point.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they can, can't they?
But I think if you see twins, they know there's enough food to sustain that number.
Yeah, it's amazing. it's about 20 past 4. And
Yeah.
It's January, early February. So what they're
It's
mainly
about
doing
time.
around this time of day, Kev, if I wanted to come out deer watching,
Yeah.
they're mainly lying down in the
Yeah.
undergrowth. So I have to keep an eye for their little heads, do I? Looking up.
Yeah, yeah, they get up, but depending on the weather, if you've got a nice, warm, sunny afternoon, they get up sort of early afternoon. They could get up about 3 o'clock and then move about and start browsing on the brambles and then gradually move their way out into the fields. But because it's colder today and it's quite, depressing the weather, they lay down and then they get up an hour before dusk and then go and feed.
Right.
Those two were they're led down, so the majority of the deer get up at the same time.
All right. Oh, that's interesting. So we can expect the others to be.
Yeah, we'll probably see some deer on the lying down, and we probably see some just starting to get up as well.
Now deer are really good at sort of hiding, aren't they? How many deer do you think there are roughly in this 400-acre woodland?
Roughly, I mean we do a census, but roughly there's about 120, 130 in this area.
In these woodlands?
Throughout the woodlands on the estate
Right.
around.
So a big part of your work, as you say, is to sort of make sure that in the absence of any natural predators, which kind of would have driven extinct sort of hundreds of years ago, the deer don't become too numerous, because if they do, they start to destroy the vegetation on which they depend, don't they? They eat too strongly away and can actually kill off trees and shrubs and
I mean, they can do a lot of damage forestry-wise. Thousands of pounds worth of damage to young trees and shrubs, and they can also, if you've got too many deer on the ground, they can actually upset the biodiversity of young plants.
But in this particular instance, you're sort of managing sort of for the woodland and for the deer themselves, really, aren't you?
Yeah.
This wood is not managed commercially.
No.
And so how do you decide how many deer are too many, and how does it work?
We run through the deer. We're looking at the deer all the time, and we decide what ones to shoot, which is age, injuries. And when they're jumping from one field to the next, they get clipped. So you've got to keep an eye on that. You get a lot of broken legs and things like that. So you're looking for that. You're looking for real sick and the old. And then you go back through and you make your own decision on what you're going to cull out. I mean, our cull on here is usually about 30 does a year, which is about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about right. When I first came here, we were taking out about 40.
Right.
And probably 40 bucks as well, because there was lots of twisted antlers and all sorts of
Yeah.
bit of a mess they were. Now it's actually difficult to find, because the herd's so good and strong and healthy, it's actually difficult to find the ones that you want to shoot first.
Kevin, is this how you go about, if you were going to be culling a deer, is this how you go about it?
What, driving round?
Yeah.
No, we won't shoot from the vehicle.
Right.
Because it's totally illegal.
Right.
But I mean, you can.
Why is it illegal? Do you know?
It's just because you're coming from you're not allowed to shoot anything from a moving vehicle. It's totally illegal to shoot anything from a moving vehicle, apart, anything like game and deer and stuff. It's frowned upon as well, because it's not sportsmanship. That's
Right.
what it's. Although you're doing a job, it's still not sportsmanship.
Right. And I guess you don't want, it's quite useful if the animals aren't afraid of moving vehicles, isn't it? Because
Yeah, that's right.
then
Because
you
when
can
we're
do
out
things like
spotting and doing our census and things like that, we don't want them running away from the vehicles.
So how would you go about culling them if you were going to be stalking them?
Well, we stalk them on foot. That's one way. Like if you saw, it's a bit of a hole there. If you saw a group of deer sort of around here, or you spotted them out in the field, park your vehicle up and you get off and you go and work your way round with the wind in your face, so you could get and have a good look at them, and then you make your mind up which one you're going to shoot, or which one needs shooting.
Right.
If you're looking for the older does that have gone through their breeding period, and you know, their teeth. What happens? Their teeth wear down. Eventually, they can't feed properly.
Yeah.
They can't chew the food up and that. So.
What do you mean by a safer and better shot for the deer?
Well, you're looking for a humane shot for the deer, you know, to go straight, you know, straight down without.
And where would that be? Shooting in the neck?
No, it's usually just behind the front leg, which is about there.
Right.
So you'll be going for a heart and lung shot. So basically, the deer will go straight down.
Right. Kev, what do you do with the deer when you've shot them?
We dress them out. We take them back to our game larder. We dress them out, which is grallicking them, which is
Grallicking?
yeah.
Sounds uncomfortable.
You know, taking all the intestines out, and then we usually hang them up and put them in a chiller room.
Yeah.
And the game dealer comes and picks them up, takes them away, ready for processing.
So they're actually eaten. And are they sold to supermarkets? Or?
They're sold to supermarkets, restaurants. About 60% of our deer, I think, goes abroad.
A lot of people are quite squeamish, aren't they, about sort of the idea of shooting deer. But obviously, it is a meat that has lived wild and free and done its own thing, hasn't it? And been allowed to live completely naturally. Yeah. And then it's shot dead humanely, we hope. What measures do you take to make sure that you do get a clean shot and it doesn't sort of run off injured?
Basically, we aim to shoot them just behind the shoulder, which it's heart and lung shot.
So you want to get through the vital organs and sort of boom.
Well, the shock of the bullet hitting them just kills them over and knocks them out straight away.
Right.
It's such a, and then once they're just down, they're finished. They don't really know much about it.
And you were saying it's healthy meat. Why do you say that?
Well, it's very, very low in cholesterol. Game actually is one of the healthiest meats you can eat. They're living on everything that they should be living on.
Yeah.
You know, and
do you eat a lot of game yourself?
I eat a bit of venison, and I do enjoy a pheasant and some wild duck and that. Yeah, I quite enjoy it. It's very tasty, as long as you know how to cook it.
So Kevin, what's your fouldn't part of the job? I mean, I must be honest. You know, I'm a bit of a bunny hugger, as you know, and I sort of couldn't. I wouldn't, you know, find it that easy to shoot a deer. But I can see what needs to be done, and I can see sort of the merits in it. What do you like about it?
I enjoy all of it. I enjoy country life anyway. I was born in the country, and I enjoy everything to do with the countryside. I think the shameful thing about it is the encroachment of houses moving into the countryside, and it seems to push everything into areas.
Smaller and smaller areas.
And everything gets a bit unbalanced. If you come to a managed estate, and then things start getting a bit unbalanced, you know, more of the corvids and that moving on the place and that, and
not enough
obviously
space.
looking for food, and you've got a balance there at that time.
Yeah.
And it's ongoing, but we're all to blame for it.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you for watching Wild. Join us again next week when I don't know what we'll be talking about. Oh, crows. Those controversial characters. And Lily will be with us. She's still breastfeeding. So she's got to stay with us. Haven't you, Lil? Even if she shouts in the middle of interviews.